Welcome to Nona's Here. I'm Nona. You're only getting hands today because I just washed my hair and I really want to get this video uploaded because today is a very special day of Shop My Stash collaboration. Our hosts are Lisa from Our Gray House and Sarah from Jujube DIY, and our very special guest host, Christine, DIY Craftaholic. Now I'll be sure and link their channels down below in the description box. You'll want to be sure and check out their channels, and they also have the playlist of all the other creators who are joining in today for Shop My Stash. Now this is a perfect theme for me today because I just finished organizing and cleaning out my craft room. Now that was a week ago, so I'm not saying it's still organized and cleaned up, but I did find some things that had been in my supply bins that I had forgotten about. So I'm going to make this short, but before I get over to my craft table, I have a suggestion. People ask me, what do I do with all these things that I craft? Well, of course, some of them I use around the condo for decor, and some I give to friends in my condo community, and of course, some I make and give to the two little kids that live next door. And some go to family and friends back in Texas. But there's still a lot of things that are left over. So what I do is I box them up and I take them to the church down the street, and they have a reach out committee that visits shut-ins, people with mobility issues, people that are home recovering from long-term surgeries or illnesses. And when they go and visit, they take one of the little crafts and they have something to give the people. Now, they aren't big things, but they seem to appreciate having things to take with them when they go to visit. So what I suggest is that if you're like me and you have a lot of these craft items, like I'm going to show you today in Shop My Stash, that you seek out a church or synagogue or even a nursing home and take your crafts and see if they have someone who visits shut-ins or people with mobility issues or are home recovering from surgery or long-term illnesses and would like to take some of your crafts to distribute. I hate to trash things, and I just don't have room in the condo for everything that I make. So I feel like it's part of being a volunteer, even though I have mobility issues with my back, but I can still volunteer my time and effort in this small way. Plus, I love doing the crafting. Just a suggestion. Okay, enough chat. Let's get over to my craft table. So my craft table's this way. So I can show you what I've done for Shop My Stash. Thanks so much for joining me, and don't forget, if you haven't subscribed and hit that notification bell, please take a second and do so today. And if you like my video, please give me a thumbs up, like, and I'd love a comment. Thanks so much. All right, DIY number one, let's have some fun. So in my supply bin, I had this cloche, or cloche as we say in the United States, some green chalk paint, a piece of this moss, just flat piece, and I got this little garden figurine of a garden gate and a little pot of a bush. So I peeled off the label on the cloche and I cleaned it off with some window cleaner. And I also had some Christmas trees that I had kept in my bin, and I took off all the snow that I could off of one of the little ones, and then I sprayed it with this green paint so it wouldn't look like a Christmas tree. And I painted the bottom of the cloche with my green chalk paint, and then I cut out a circle of that moss sheet and hot glued it to the bottom inside of the cloche. And then after I hot glued it to the bottom, I set up all the little pieces inside the cloche to make sure they would fit and I could get the top on, with the little tree in the back and the garden gate and the little pot. Made sure they'd all fit in there. Then I hot glued all the pieces onto the little grass moss piece, and there it is, with the little garden gate, the little bush, and the tree in the back. Okay, DIY number 2, my world turned upside down. All right, so I had this green straw hat in my supply bin, and I got it like last summer or 2 summers ago. And I had these purple daisies with kind of green centers. White flowers, didn't end up using those, but you know me, I always have more than what I need or that I'm going to use. And then I had some purple flowers in this wide white ribbon. And, of course, my glue gun. I always show you the pretty side because the other side just has a whole bunch of aluminum foil stuck to it. Well, the hat in the holes has little plastic coverings, so I had to take my Cricut tool and punch out the plastic holes so that I could stick the flowers through and hot glue them to the back, just like that. So I stuck the daisies through the little holes and hot glued them. Then I took the ribbon and I made a big ribbon out of the white and then 2 little ribbons out of the 2 purple ribbons and tied that on the side of the hat and made an Easter bonnet. Well, it's not really an Easter bonnet because Easter's almost over. But that's my little green hat with purple daisies, and inside the daisies are like little green centers. Then, of course, I took one of the purple ribbons and made a hanger. And I think it came out real cute with the big white ribbon and then the 2 little purple ribbons. And that's my I keep calling it an Easter hat, but it's just a spring hat. DIY number 3, I went back to black and white. Okay, so I'm going to use this 8-inch wreath ring that's foam and this floral moss, which you know makes a mess, so just be ready. Some Mod Podge, and I'm going to take a sponge brush and I'm going to start putting Mod Podge all over the wreath and then sticking the moss to the Mod Podge. Now this is a mess. It makes a mess, but it's well worth it. So one thing is, this takes like a couple rounds of doing this to get the moss all over the wreath form. So tip number 1 is have hand wipes nearby, because if your fingers get sticky, you're going to end up taking off more moss than you put on. So keep wiping your hands off with the hand wipes. Tip number 2 is give the wreath form time to dry between rounds of adding moss. The drier it is before you try and do the next round, the better off you're going to be. So I gave several hours between adding more moss. In fact, one time I let it dry overnight, and that really worked well. So you just go around and keep filling in the empty spots. See, there's like round 3, and here comes round 4. I'm going to do the inside and the back. But the drier your wreath is, the better a new round. By round, I mean you're putting on more moss, okay? Now, moss is going to get all over the place, so you just have to know that you're going to have to do a good sweep up job when you're done. But keep those hand wipes nearby, because if your fingers are sticky, the moss is going to come off with your fingers. So just keep wiping your hands off with the hand wipes so that your fingers aren't sticky and taking off more moss than you put on. So it just takes a little patience. All right, so now I have these 3 bunnies from Easter that I kept out, But I'm not going to make them Easter bunnies. I'm going to make them spring bunnies. So the first thing I'm going to do is fill in the little holes at the top with some spackling. Then I'm going to paint all 3 bunnies with my plaster chalk paint. And then I'm going to use my antique wax and dry brush them. And I'm going to make each bunny like a different tone, like a dark bunny and a medium colored bunny and a light bunny. But they aren't Easter bunnies, they're spring bunnies. Okay, and so when I get them all painted and dry brushed, and of course you use your handy wipes to take off the dry brushing. If you get too much on, you can play around with it until you get just the color of bunny you want. Then I'm going to take those 3 bunnies and I'm going to hot glue them to the moss wreath. Now, another thing is, I read somewhere, and this does work, spray your moss wreath when it's dry with hairspray. Like when it was all dried, like 2 days later, I sprayed it with hairspray, like twice. Then I waited 2 days and I sprayed it again with hairspray. And then I waited, like I hung it up and I shook it real good after about a week. And then I sprayed it again with hairspray. And it keeps the moss from shedding, and it really does work. So it doesn't matter what kind of hairspray you use. You can use cheap hairspray. I just used whatever hairspray I had. And what I'm showing you here is I'm just dry brushing and taking it off and dry brushing and taking it off till I get the color of bunny that I want. And spray your moss, whatever project you do and you use moss, because you know it sheds terribly. Spray it with hairspray, let it dry, and spray it a couple times. Now, I've had this wreath hanging in my craft room for a couple weeks because I did this craft a number of weeks ago. And I've taken it down and I've shaken it, and I haven't lost hardly any moss has shed it off. So just spray it with hairspray. Okay, so I added a little jute tag hanger in the back. And that's the hairspray I used. I'm just showing you that I used hairspray. You don't have to use any special kind of hairspray. But if you spray the moss and let it dry, spray it, let it dry, wait a couple days, spray it again, and I mean all over the moss tends to shed less, which is a good thing, because you've already cleaned up your craft room once or twice. All right, so that is the moss wreath bunny. All right, DIY number 4. Wake up, Nona. All right, took this small tray that I had in my stash from Dollar Tree. You know, I haven't seen a lot of small trays. You see the big trays in the $3 and $5 aisle, but I don't see a lot of small trays anymore. And I have this small picture frame, 2x3. And I'm not going to do anything to the picture frame. Then I have this mirror love word. And I got it at Hobby Lobby. They had them on for 99 cents. What a deal. Okay, so then I'm going to take my, that block. And I'm going to sand off because the tray had some really rough spots. And then I'm going to paint the tray with this beautiful nautical blue chalk paint. So I really had to smooth out the tray because it was really rough in a lot of places. But, you know, for $1.25, what do you want? So I painted the whole tray inside and out, not the bottom. Inside and out with that beautiful blue, nautical blue chalk paint. And then I took the love mirror words and hot glued it to the middle. Very simple. This is a real quick and dirty craft. So I glued it to the middle, and then I'm going to add, and I'm not going to open it, the picture frame, because this is one of those, well, all of these crafts are going to the church for gifts. So and you know, these people all have pictures of kids and grandkids and great-grandkids. So I thought that'd make a cute little combination for one of the people that they go to visit. So that's that craft. There it is, all put together. I think somebody will enjoy having that. That's the end of that one. DIY number 5, surprise! All right, so I had this. This was at the bottom of my bin. And I have these light pale pink and pale green solar wood flowers and this wide pink burlap ribbon, and of course my glue gun that I'm showing you the pretty side. And this pink ribbon, I didn't use it. I'm just showing it to you in case I decide to use it. So I'm going to wrap the wide pink burlap ribbon around the wreath form because I need something to attach the solar wood flowers to, and they won't attach to that thin wire. So I wrap the wide pink ribbon all around the wreath form because it's just wire. And then I take the solar wood flowers and see, I'm showing you, it's not a real neat job, but it doesn't need to be. Okay, now the solar wood flowers have, some of the bottoms are quite long. And in order to make them stick, I had to trim off the bottoms, which is real easy to do. These are just the smaller solar wood flowers. So I just took my scissors and I trimmed off the bottoms, like right there. See how long it is? So I just trimmed it off, and then I hot glued the flowers to the pink burlap around the wreath form. See right there. Now I have a flat bottom to hot glue to the wreath. And there it is, all finished. And it has a little word welcome through the center. See, and that's the back. And then it already had a hanger on it, and I left a space in there so that whoever gets it can hang it up. And that's the 5th DIY. I think it came out real cute. It looks real pretty, and I'm getting rid of that yellow scarf in the back that I'm using as a background. All right, so that's DIY number 1, the cloche with the little fairy garden inside. That's DIY number 2, the green hat with the purple daisies and flowers. That's DIY number 3, the moss wreath with the bunny and the word welcome. That's DIY number 4, the love tray with a little picture frame. And that's DIY number 5, which is the pink and green solar flower wreath with welcome across the center. Tell me which one. Oh, and thank our host, Lisa from Our Gray House, Sarah from Jujubee DIY, and our guest host, Christine from DIY Craftaholic. Now, please tell me in the comments below which was your favorite, which one of the DIYs today was your favorite. Thank you so much for joining all of us today, and I hope to see you again very soon at Nona's Here. Bye.